Good morning, Chamber members. Welcome to Monday Minute for January the 14th, 2019. We're happy to bring you a couple of items today. First of all, we know there's been lots out in the media about carbon pricing and carbon taxes and I'll say a rift, if you will, between the different levels of chambers of commerce, from the locals in the province to the provincial being together on the no carbon tax agreement, and the policy that the Canadian Chamber approved several years ago about approving carbon pricing. There's several items that have come up related to that. I just want to mention we're going to put a link to a competitive transition report the Canadian Chamber has put out, how smarter climate policy can help Canada lead the way to a low carbon economy. There's some information in there and certainly some key recommendations around their opinion on carbon pricing. Secondly, I've also included 5 Minutes for Business, which is the most recent brief read for business related to the low carbon economy without a regulatory system that works. And we know we've talked for quite some time about the advocating work that's being done on behalf of business across the country on the regulatory burden that governments put on business. So there's some key items there that would be worth reading. Also to note, the Canadian Chamber is also working with us and the Saskatchewan Chamber in depth on the carbon pricing and the policies around that. While the policy the Canadian Chamber approved was approved several years ago at an annual meeting, and not all of the policies that come forward are agreed upon by everybody. But in a democratic society, a majority rules. And at the time when that policy was passed, much of the country had carbon pricing in place, or so it was a fait accompli, if you would, at that point. Canadian Chamber has said they have some caveats to agreeing with that, and some of it has to do with the regulatory burden. There's lots of other issues, and so while I know there's lots of confusion out there, I think the one thing that's key is that everybody is working really hard to make sure that the layering of costs for business is examined and then reduced, of course. So that's a key file that we'll continue to follow and work on. And secondarily, of course, we're attending the Town of Battleford business deliberation this evening, and so we'll have some more comments on that coming forward. That's what we have for you this week. I hope you have a great week in business. And I want to congratulate everyone involved in the Pinties event. I happened to be there over the weekend, and it was a really good turnout on the weekend events. And the city, of course, needs to be recognized for their work at the Civic Center, as well as all of the volunteers and everyone in the community that put that event on and made it come together in such a great way. Anyway, have a great week in business, and we'll see you next week.